and today I'm going to be going a little bit into maybe more in depth of using Keynote with your iDesign shapes. Too often we look at the shapes that we buy and it's all there is. But I promise you, with a few tricks and hints in Keynote, you can probably take your whole design to the next level. But is that really necessary? I don't think so. A few days ago I posted this layout, and I think I'm going to leave next week's layout just like it is. It was actually in response to a thread that Sandy Cruz started on creating multiple colors or rainbow colors with basic iDesign shapes. Adorable penguins, pumpkins, you name it. Me, I can't go that route. So I went the crayon route, probably too many years in the classroom. And so I thought, my planner is almost perfect. It does not need a lot of embellishment. Sometimes it just needs a little bit of color to make me smile when I look at it. So my rainbow was crayons. Now my crayons came from the school shapes that I talk about as far as in the supplies. My paints will come from the paint splatters. My font, that's another story. So what do we need? Our supplies are the iDesign files, paint stroke, and back to school. See the crayon? And my iDesign pattern files, which I use the classroom floor plan, which were from my 2018-2019 academic planner. I don't believe it's actually in the shop. It might be. Actually, I think it is now that I'm go back and think about it. Or you can use any of the iDesign patterns that are in your primary colors. So let's go ahead and let's start creating. The first thing I did was I went to my school supplies and I used the one crayon. And I lined up my crayons and I actually changed the colors based on the primary colors that were in my pattern pack. Same technique as I've shown you before. You simply tap on it, go to the paintbrush, image, replace, and select from your camera roll the particular pattern that you want to use. Like I said, I lined them up and they're good to go. I have to tell you, my 9-year-old granddaughter had to give me the order of the colors in the rainbow because I simply could not remember them. Very straightforward. Then I took, and because I use a single slide in Keynote as a palette, I tapped on the slide, select all, and grouped it, and my crayons were now ready to bring into my layout. But how did I do the long color that So now I'm going to create the actual iridescent or see-through line that kind of allows me to use everything my iPlanner is. I've selected one of my paint strokes. This is totally personal. You don't have to do it this way. And I'm also going to multiply it or duplicate it so that each of my strokes coordinates with one of my crayon colors. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take and I'm going to make this just a little bit bigger. It's to me always easier to work with it first on its own canvas or own slide, and second of all when it's a little bit bigger. And I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. Index finger in the center to provide a pivot point and rotate to 270-ish degrees. And now I'm going to copy and paste, and I'm going to do that 6 times because that's how many crayons I've got. Paste, paste, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, one more, paste, and there I have my streaks of color. Now the magic begins because now I get to play. Okay, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to change the colors of my strokes to match my crayons. So I'm going to show you one and then I'm going to finish them all. I'm going to select, I don't want that, I'm going to select it, and I'm going to go to paintbrush, image, replace, and I'm going to find my album in my photo library that has my classroom floor plan in. The first color is purple, so I'm going to go with the lighter purple. The second color, again, select it, paintbrush, image, replace, and the second color is the blue. from my classroom set floor plan. Again. Okay, I've done my crayons, my colors, I've been drawing. And if you look onto the left-hand side in underneath presentations, you can see that I have pretty well coordinated with my crayons. Now, how's this going to work? Now it's actually the fun part. Because I am using my own palette or my own slide for this, it actually makes it much, much easier to manipulate and to group my shapes in the end. So I'm going to select the background slide and select all. And I'm going to group it for just a moment because I want to make these bigger so I can work with them a little bit more. Now I'm going to select them all, and I'm going to go now to my right-hand side and select ungroup, because now this is really the magic of this whole thing. And I'm going to take and I'm going to just select individual ones, and I'm going to move them around. Some of them will be a little bit longer, some of them will be a little bit shorter. It's totally what you want to do because it's yours. But you can see that what I'm actually in the end ending up with is overlapped colors. Just because I don't want that one line on all of them, I'm going to select my green one, and I'm going to go to Paintbrush, Arrange, and I'm going to flip it horizontally. Flip it vertically. There we go. And that kind of hides that one little one behind so that it's not always going to be right where it was. Just a little bit of variance. And you can slip it horizontally, but for this purposes, I'm not going to. So I'm going to take and I'm going to bring it over, and I think because that's an end one, I'm going to make my red longer and flip it vertically. Okay, and I kind of like that. It's just a little bit haphazard, which is what I want. So now I'm going to select all of them again, and I'm going to actually go to Paintbrush, Style, and I'm going to decrease my opacity. I just want a hint of color, and I do want it to kind of blend one to the other. And now if I want, I can actually go in and select each one, maybe arrange it, and select Constrain Proportions, turn it off, make one or two a little bit less wide. Constrain Proportions, and I really am just playing now. I'm going to select the background, select all, and I'm going to group it. And now I'm going to actually make it larger. So now we have our paint splatters complete. The first thing we're going to do is we are going to export this as a JPEG. You heard me right. Two ways we can do this. We can do a screen capture of the slide, or we can actually export this slide to our camera roll. For lesson learning, let's go ahead and export it to our camera roll. I'm going to take and select the three dots, and it comes up with a drop-down menu that says More. Under More, the second one down says Export. And I can choose that, and I get a number of ways to do it. I'm going to select Images, and under Image, I'm going to select JPEG, and I want the smaller file size. I'm also going to select the slide range. That's super important. So I click on All, and if you look on the left-hand side, each one of my slides has a number. The only slide that I want to export is this particular slide, and it is number 6. So I turn the wheel, and I go 6 to 6, and it selects only that slide. Now I'm going to select Image Options again and Export. Now I come up with basically a question saying, where do you want it to go? And I want to save this image to my camera roll. Now we're going to go to the camera roll because the second step is to crop this so that in Keynote in iOS, hear that again, iOS, on a Mac it's a little different. Keynote and iOS, you have a nice shape, nice square shape to put in. And now I'm going to select Edit. And to edit this, I'm going to select Crop. And I'll simply crop it to a square shape. kind of like that. Oh, I like that even better. And I just move it around till it's something pleasing to me. And let me see. I think that's probably going to be pretty good. So I'll select Done. And it gets saved in that way in my camera roll. And now I'm going to go back to Keynote, and we're going to work on our last step of our project for today, and that's creating our alphabet. Okay, and the last step in this process is creating a word or a phrase in Keynote that you can take into your iPlanner. Again, I am on a palette, a slide of its own, and I'm going to be adding a font. I have a lot of fonts on my iPad. I'm a fontaholic, I'm sorry. To do this, I go to plus, and I'm going to go to the circle and the square or the shapes, basic, and add text. In my text box, I'm going to, with it showing on my slide, I'm going to click on my paintbrush, and now I can use whatever type I want. I'm going to go with body just because I can. And I'm going to go to font, and I'm going to select a font that I want to use. I like hanging letters. It's one of the free ones that I got from DeFont, and it's really kind of a fun one, and it works pretty well with this technique. Back to text, and I'm going to increase my size. Remember, it's going to have to be pretty large in order to be, so it doesn't get grainy when you take it into your planner. I'm going to click on it, and I'm going to write weekend. Now that font's pretty fun. I could probably go a little bit bigger. Let's go 185.6, 189. Okay, the next thing I'm going to do, and this is in the last update to Keynote, maybe the one before that, under text color, it's hidden. You have to look for it. There's an arrow that points to the right. Select it. You now get an option, text color preset, color, gradient, or image. We're going to select image. And now we're going to select change image, and we're going to our camera roll, and we're going to take the image that we just cropped and select it. And that comes in, and you can see our writing. Now we're going to unselect it. And it's kind of fun, actually. We can make it a little bit darker. What we're going to do is style. We're going to put shadow, a drop shadow. And now, this won't go into GoodNotes the way it is. There's one more step. Okay, the last thing we do to this word that we've created in Keynote to be used in our iPlanner is to maintain its integrity. I don't understand why we have to do this. Keynote to GoodNotes, I don't know. But it works. So we have to make a bounding box, or kind of like, think of it as a lasso that's going to hold everything together so it doesn't fall apart. I'm going to go to my plus sign, and I'm going to select the blue square under the basic shapes. And I'm going to move it out of the way just so I can play with it just a little bit. Now I'm going back to the paintbrush because I'm going to change the way this box looks. Out to the side of the word fill under the paintbrush style is an arrow. This is a change as of maybe the last update to Keynote, maybe the time before that. There are 4 pages of fills, presets, and we're going to scroll to the very last one. The box that says no fill is what we want, and that creates an open box. So now we're going to slide this box on top of our writing, keep it in close, and we're going to simply drag it and surround the word weekend. Now we can see the line in Keynote, but don't worry about that. It won't be there when we go to GoodNotes. I'm going to tap on the background slide of my slide, and I'm going to go select all. And now I'm going to group this. I can make it, no, we can't make it larger. And that grouping is what's going to confine those letters. And it's like it puts, like heat sealing something. It's going to hold the layers all together. And that is now ready to be copied and pasted into our GoodNotes file, into our iPlanner. That said, let's go ahead and let's go into and create our layout.